Well, a good morning is continuing. We just spotted something off through the thick stuff there. Let me try and show you what we saw. Oh, you can actually just see it. Never would have spotted that if we weren't looking in the area already. But look right there, just there. But I tell you what, we're going to get closer. Guys, updates. Mododa Ingwe still on the bamba. Scotland. Hey, hey! This is a good morning. Switch off. RTG radio. Guys, if anyone's responding to the English sighting, Andrew, you guys, when you get the visual, you can just pull in. Andrew again.
Everyone around? Humble. That's strange because somebody up there that is not equal to it. Yeah, there.
Hey guys, I'm going to turn my radio down just now, but just to confirm, you'll have an easy visual of our Mova from Scotland. You can just pull in when you get me visual. Oh, wow. Eating a bit upside down there. Now, if you've maybe missed a few drives over the last couple of days, this has been a sort of unfolding story. It's been a great story. Started with finding these guys on foot. Brent, Scott, Stefan. One of these guys, this guy, Quarantine, the male leopard. He killed a young but adult female kudu, which is a very impressive kill for him. Probably about 3 times or more his own body weight. And then the whole drama ensued from that. The hyena stole most of it. He kept some of it, which is what he's eating at the moment. He's moved it. He's had it up a couple of different trees. We sat with him last night for a beautiful, probably hour and a half or so. And now he's having another meal. Wish I could say that looks tasty. Feels like he might feel the same. I think it's can't quite see if it's a bit of a hair or something, but it seems to be stuck in his teeth. That's actually quite funny. The benefit, of course, of keeping the food up in the tree like that is that he's managed to keep it through the night. The hyenas would have definitely been past here again. In fact, I can see a hyena track just where I'm sitting with a vehicle at the moment. So having it up in the tree means they couldn't take it, means he's got another day of eating from that kill. So he's actually got a pretty good run from that kill. And this is the 3rd day now on it. It's down to mostly the skin now, so he's actually eating some of that sort of sinewy bits of it. But yeah, it's good to see. Not only that he's killed a big prey species, it's always a good thing for a young leopard, knowing that he can take down larger prey, but also that he's got the ability and the experience now to make sure that he gets good use from it. He doesn't just lose the carcass quite quickly to other predators. So it's gives nice confidence to see that this guy's future is looking good. Arena is commenting on those beautiful whiskers. Now leopard have got probably the most spectacular whiskers of the big cats. They really do stand out in more than one way. Rena's just asking if they would help the leopard sense danger. I mean, my basic answer would be not sensing danger as such, but it would certainly help the leopard be in tune with his surroundings under sort of exciting moments, if you want, especially during hunting. Those whiskers play a big role. There you can see them. Look at how wide they are. Beautiful wide whiskers, much wider than the head, even wider than the shoulders or the rest of the body. So that's key for them when they're busy stalking something and they're moving really slowly. It can take seconds or minutes sometimes just to move one foot. And if it's pitch dark and there's no light, those whiskers can actually feel its way through the bush. And then I guess you could say that those whiskers would help the animal sense when the danger is gone. And what I mean with that, Rena, is that when they grab whatever they're hunting by the throat, let's say a bushbuck or an impala, something with horns, a warthog, something that can actually not only injure but even kill leopard. Leopards have been killed by prey species, bushbuck and warthog probably being the two main ones up there. Those whiskers are touching the skin or the throat of the animal as they're suffocating them, and when the heartbeat stops, when the bushbuck or the warthog become a carcass, that moment when the life ends, the whiskers can feel the heartbeat stopping. So you could say that the whiskers help the animal sense when the danger of the prey is gone, if you sort of follow what I'm trying to say there, Rena. But very sensitive, both in terms of the leopard knowing where he's moving through, but also very important use of it is to tell when the prey has died. This is something that often has people curious or has people interested, and that's the fact that this meat is obviously not fresh anymore. In fact, it is properly rotten by now. It's now 2 days later. It's been relatively hot in the day. It's been quite moist as well. Lots of humidity, so it's been rotting nicely. Rotting along nicely is what I mean. Catherine, you were just wondering, how is it that animals can eat that? I made the comparison the other day of all the things we can eat as humans and survive with that. If we had to feed about 95% of things that we eat to a leopard or a monkey, they wouldn't last too long. So it's just about being adapted to your different diets. For your predators, leopard, lion, hyena, wild dog, that's what they eat. That's no problem for them. Now, to me and you, it might not seem very pleasant, or we even know that it might not be good for us, but for them that's no problem. Their stomachs are very differently designed from ours, and is designed or has evolved to be able to digest meat of any age or condition. Where am I? Further out of vehicle. I'm sure there's someone that wants to come have a look as well. I'm just going to give the game drivers an update. I switched my radio off earlier. Guys, my radio has been done just to confirm if anyone should join the Ingwe sighting Philemon's cut line. just keep coming towards Philemon's dip direction from where the bomber was in the beginning. You will see my mover off to the eastern side. You can just pull in. Mobile looking for the Ingwe. I can hear a mover come in. Guys stationed with the Ingwe, if you can copy me, Philemon's cut line. Just drive on Philemon's cut line itself heading north, in other words from towards Philemon's dip side. You will see my mover off to the eastern side. Yes, I can hear a car, I can't see one, but I think they're looking for us. I very well noticed the Anna Marie. I was actually going to mention it and then something else caught my attention, but if you look very carefully you'll see it again. Just now there you can see it. Anna Marie is asking, why is the leopard licking the meat so much? It's partly because most of it, or a lot of it's finished now, so it's not that easy just to cut sections of meat off using those side teeth, the carnassial shears. It's now got to get down to the meat that's still on the bones, to the meat that's on the inside of the skin. And leopard, like other cats, have got very, very rough, almost like sandpaper-like tongues. If you have a house cat and you've felt a tongue before, it's quite rough like that. So it's like that, just sort of times, 50. And that is for licking or lapping up water. It's one of the practical sort of reasons for it. But just as importantly, it allows them to get hold of those little bits of meat that they wouldn't be able to get hold of with the teeth. There you can see it. Look at that. Perfect. Exactly what you were asking about. So the leopard is actually getting hold of the food with his tongue. There is a hyena. Not too much to worry about for the leopard, but there is a hyena approaching just here off to our left through the undergrowth. Coming to have a look, see if there's any scraps fallen down. Obviously smelling the carcass. This hyena wasn't here before. You can see it didn't walk straight here. It was actually following the scent. Now it's looking up at the tree thinking, no, I'm a hyena, I can't climb up there. But experience has told them that if you sit around for a bit, something might drop down, might find something that I can eat. There you can see, awesome. The leopard's relaxed. He knows that he's got his food up in a good place. Nothing to worry about. Ephraim again.
2.
Ephraim again. Sorry guys, the game drive just going right past there. Ephraim again. Guys are looking for us, but they just drove right past. Sorry about that, but these are the same guys that help us find other things again, so we work together. Ephraim again. This is not one of the biggest hyenas in that clan. Guys, just again to put it into perspective, we are not far away from the hyena den. We're looking at about 600, 700 meters, less than a kilometer, half a mile, maybe a little bit more than half a mile. Hello Jan, and great awareness there. It's mentioning the bird calls. One of the calls you can hear is a puffback shrike, very well ID'd. Can't mimic it perfectly, but sounds about like that. And then I haven't specifically noticed myself, but very, very possible that you heard a brown-headed parrot. It's difficult for me to always hear all the bird calls. You actually have a better position where you're sitting to hear the birds than I do. Whoa, there's a... What was that? Looks like a tawny eagle that just flew past here. Look at that. Stunning setting as well. I mean, the leopard itself obviously beautiful, but also the whole... What's the word? Setting around it, for lack of a better description at the moment. Big, wide branches, heavy branches from this marula tree. Perfect tree for a leopard to sit in. Love that composition as well, for those of you that enjoy the photography aspect of this. Love the shapes in this, the branch at the bottom or the branch at the top, the shapes, branch going into the background, and also the almost the dappled color, if you want, of the tree itself. Leopard is having a look at the hyena. I'd expect that this leopard will finish off this carcass or this food during the course of today. I think by this afternoon, tonight, this leopard will be done with it. I'm hoping that Q decides to go and spend a bit of time around Treehouse Dam, maybe by this afternoon. That's the closest water. Also the quarantine area that is named after Gowrie Waterhole down towards Wetella Lodge, also not that far away. So I'm hoping that he's going to stick around.
Three Yoni to south of Second Rock.
Well, we have a curious mind asking a curious question, and I believe you on Twitter referred to as curious. Guys, it's always nice for us to get first names. My name is Peter Pretorius, if you're new on the drive, and we answer your questions. It's also good to know where you're from, but lovely to know your first name. The question there is just that you're curious whether Djuma, who's the brother to this leopard, the guy we're looking at now is called Q. He's got a brother, same age, obviously 2.5 years, whether he's maybe started his journey into adulthood, which the next step for that journey is to leave the area. It certainly is possible. We've had some reports that he's been seen further to the south by the guys from Aratuza. And yeah, I haven't actually thought of that, but it is imminent. It might happen any day. We said so the other week. It could be in the next day or two, it could be in the next week or two, but it's not going to be in the next few months. It will be sooner than that. So that is certainly a possibility. I hope not. I would love to see Djuma once more in the next couple of days. We've got a little bit of a sort of a happy banter going on about it, but this is, I mean, any leopard is my favorite leopard because they're all stunning. But Djuma, the brother to this guy, is probably my favorite, and I know that this is HD's favorite. He's had his first sighting here at Djuma back last year was of this guy. So you do develop a little bit of a sort of a soft spot for certain of the individuals, as I know many of you know. So I hope that Djuma hasn't moved off again. But Mvula's been around. Mvula was seen last night, that big male leopard that Hayden had, who's the father of this male and his brother. But it is also that stage where he will start putting pressure on them. So I hope that Djuma is still around, but he might have moved on again. It's a very, very valid point. Well thought, well asked. And this is what leopards do. All cats are great at keeping themselves clean. All animals, in fact. You have to keep yourself clean so you can stay healthy. But leopard are right to the top of that list when it comes to keeping themselves very, very clean, very tidy. And you can see this one at the moment, even though we can't see it. Busy grooming himself, cleaning the nails, cleaning the paws. They will use the paws to clean the face. So using the tongue and the paws in a combination, they will clean their whole body. Ah, they're beautiful. Look at it, and it's like, this is what I remember from this time around being a Djuma. It's just obviously stunning leopard, and also at an age where they're really beautiful. But I find myself so often just sitting here going, this is amazing. I'm sitting with a leopard right here in front of me. Hyena just sort of taking it easy, hoping for a scrap or two that might drop down. But this kind of thing where you're sitting, I mean, look at this. We're right here by this leopard. This is something that, there's the hyena. Can't see him well, but it's just there. Here's the leopard. I mean, you could literally almost grab him. It's something that, it still makes me feel like this, just to experience it. But yeah, this is the sort of the postcard setting for seeing a leopard. Well, good question there. I'm going to answer it for you very shortly, Shanae. Look at that heavy tail as well. This is a perfect view of the leopard's tail. Leopards have got quite heavy muscled tails compared to other cats. Because they're so good at climbing trees and so often do, that tail will help to balance them or counterbalance them while they're climbing around. So the tail is very important as a balancing tool, obviously also for communication amongst the leopards, and even for sometimes touching each other. You can see how they touch each other using the tails. Shanae is just asking about the tree itself. Now this is a beautiful big marula tree, but it is autumn now and not that many leaves on it, and you were just wondering if it's not open enough for vultures to get in there. Certainly it would be possible, although most big vultures, keep in mind, let me put this into context for you. That leopard would be give or take about 1 meter nose to tail. So that distance from there to there would be the equivalent of one wing of a big vulture. So if a vulture was sitting here with the wings open, it would be the width of that entire branch. So difficult for them to get in there. Some of your smaller vultures, the hooded vulture, for instance, they can get in there a little bit. Wahlberg's eagles are good at that as well, but keep in mind, there's a leopard right there as well. So vulture's not just going to sort of fly in there. Maybe once he's left, then there'll be a couple of the smaller vultures getting in there. They might drop the carcass down, giving access for the other ones on the ground. Hyena may be waiting around for it. So the story is not finished. Everything gets used in the end. And if the vultures don't get to it and the hyenas don't get to it, the flies and the insects and the ants will make the most of it. All clean, all groomed. From the nose to the toes, all is clean. So that means a little bit of sleep time. He's just not quite finding the exact comfortable position yet. Let's see if he finds it. We might move a bit, but I think he's actually going to sleep now. Not just be lazy. I think he's going to sleep a bit, if he can get comfortable, of course. I believe a few people are talking about this in Twitter mainly. Guys, remember, if you want to ask something or mention something or even just leave a comment, you can do so by emailing at questions@WildEarth.tv, or Twitter feed is nice. It's like a conversation. There are different people that can give you information even within the conversation. For tweeting, #SafariLive. And please remember, if you have a specific question, in other words, if you specifically want to ask something, we do try and answer as many questions as we can, especially questions that are relevant to what is going on and what we're experiencing. But it's always nice to have your real name when we talk to each other. But one of the sort of conversations going on at the moment is, how long will this leopard stick around? He has decided that's it. That food's not going to fall out. The leopard's falling asleep. I'm going to go home. I love hyenas. There's something so, I don't know. I'm not eloquent enough to describe what I'm trying to say now, but they sort of don't really care, and they're sort of happy to just change their mind if they change their mind. It's sort of like a, I don't know, sort of like the happy surfer dude kind of approach to life sometimes with hyenas. I quite like that about them. But coming back to the leopard, how long will it be before he kills again? Or how long can he go now from this food? Now keep in mind, it's been 2 days, 48, give it actually a bit more already, going into 3 days that he's been eating this. So he's really had a good opportunity to fill his stomach a few times. And he could go now a week without eating, comfortably. But most likely this afternoon, tonight, he might make a bit of effort to hunt again. And if he gets a good opportunity, he'll take it. But if I had to sort of give a sort of an average statistic for it, I would say that in the next 2 to 4 nights, he should make another kill again. 2 to 5 nights. So it's Friday today, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. Here by Monday, Tuesday, he'll be making full efforts again to hunt. But for now, a good sleep is in order. Colleen, this is an excellent question. It's a question that I like answering, and I like it when people think about it. Colleen is just, you're just wondering, do hyena ever hunt on their own? And hyenas are actually very good hunters. I think for many reasons which we're not going to go into now, but there's often a bit of a misconception or misperception of hyena. They are very good hunters. As social animals, they can hunt in packs, similar to what wild dogs do. And a lot of the stories, they make the good bad guys for a story. Now, if you look at anything from Lion King to many documentaries, lions make good guys, and hyenas make good bad guys. And it's often portrayed like that. But there are areas, I know in the Delta there was an area for a while where the guys studying the predator interactive relationship, they noticed that the hyenas were actually making more kills than the lions, and the lions were then scavenging off that again. So it does also happen the other way around, but the main competition is often or normally would be between hyenas and lions. One of the greatest documentaries ever, I think, the story being told, which was called Eternal Enemies. I think, if I remember correctly, it was done by the Beverly and Derek Joubert. Amazing filmmakers, great people as well, and that sort of told that story. But point is, Colleen, is that they can hunt for themselves. In Sabi Sands, however, because there's so many predators, leopard, lion, wild dogs, most of the time we experience or see hyena other than at the dens, or we're just sort of finding when they're walking around looking for food, is at carcasses. When they hunt themselves, it'll be almost always at night, and similar to wild dogs, when they've made the kill, they will eat most of it and be done with it. So it's also just a sort of opportunity for us to see it is much less. Lions and leopard often hunt early morning, late afternoon, where hyenas are only getting active then. They hunt more at night as well. So it will also just be less opportunity for us to see it. I wonder what the rest of the morning's going to bring. Stefan and them still looking around and tracking around. I'm not sure where HT is at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe feels like coming to have a look at this guy towards the end of the drive as well, seeing as it is his favorite leopard and seeing that it is in a beautiful tree. We'll chat to him in a bit, see what he's up to. That's a happy leopard. Perfect tree, he's found his comfortable position in it. Doesn't have to worry about any other predators being around because he is safe up there. Good day to be a leopard for this guy. And he is actually dozing off. His eyes are just open, but you can see those sort of long, slow blinks. We all know the feeling. What a great setting. I imagine if you're just driving through here or walking through here, even better. You might be walking here, and I think you could agree that you could easily not see that. Perfectly camouflaged, lying still like that, you could be walking close past and not even see it. So it's always very good to keep your eyes wide open when you're walking. Also keep in mind your senses are really alive when you're on foot, because you know that you're in touch with everything. So from the smallest track to the biggest animal, you have to look out for them and be aware of them, all the sounds, all the sights. And I think you're going to experience some of that now. You're going to get on foot with Stefan and enjoy that. He's got a few interesting things to tell you. There's always something interesting in the bush around you. And we're going to sit here for a bit and see what the rest of the drive brings us. Enjoy it with Stefan. See you just now.
Well, welcome back to the Sunrise Bushwalk with myself, Stefan, and Scott. We've moved out of the area of where we found that female leopard, and from what I hear on the radio, you've been having a fantastic morning so far with Hayden and Peter. But we've come into this area now and we've been tracking a big male leopard. We don't know what male leopard it is, but it definitely is in Mvula's territory. And it's hard to mistake his track with another full-grown male leopard. It's an enormous track. Where we are right now in the bush, we don't have any tracks. His tracks came off of a path and are leading in this direction, but we're going to follow some logic that we've developed over the years. Big male leopard of the size that Mvula is, and of the size of this male leopard is, quite often move from termite mound to termite mound. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going and doing exactly the same thing. We'll be moving from termite mound to termite mound in the direction that the last tracks went in, and we're going to see if we can pick up anything. Right.
Well, back from the walk, quick hello there. Tricky sometimes the walk in terms of technical things, so glad we could get back to you quick. Sorry, I'm looking at Ahina. Just as I'm speaking, I saw this movement. I was going to say glad to get you back here, but there's Ahina in the back here. Just walking, different Ahina from the one earlier, definitely a different Ahina, bigger, fuller belly, older as well. The one that was with us a few minutes ago was definitely a bit younger, and again, this hyena I don't think has seen this leopard. We just spoke about this. Yeah, this one has not seen it yet. So, someone's listening to the game drive radios there, but this hyena is still looking around. I know it's a bit tricky here, the thick bush, but has not seen the leopard yet, so it's just picked up on the scent. But that's my point exactly. Here's our hyena. It's got better sense of smell, better eyesight, better hearing than we do, and yet it walked past within 20 yards of a leopard riding in the tree without seeing it. It just shows you again, always be alert, always be aware in the bush, and even more so when you're on foot. It's one of the great things about walking, it's just that heightened sensitivity to surroundings. That hyena is coming right in towards us now. I'm going to wait for it to come out behind those branches, but straight line between us and the hyena. A little bit up from that line, you've got a leopard sitting in the tree, right in close proximity to each other here. The hyena still hasn't seen the leopard. There's the leopard. smelling it. The hyena knows there's something, but doesn't know where. Just off to the side, you know. That side there. But even that height, if you look at, we had two males, Mishon and Duna, also young males from Karula, and one of them had the tail tip snipped off, so the tail hanging there, the hyena jumped and grabbed the tail tip and just plucked it off the sort of last inch or so. So they have to be alert. Alright, well, just try and see the hyena. Yeah, can't see much of it, it's right behind the bush from it, but I can see a little bit from where I'm sitting. The hyena is actually lying flat down now in the little hollow there, so I'm starting just to take it easy, wait it out, see what happens. Maybe something drops out of the tree. I still don't think that hyena has actually seen the leopard, but they all seem pretty relaxed, settling down for the morning. If anything happens, we're going to get you back here, but for now we can get you back with Stefan on the ground, so enjoy being on foot.
Welcome back to the bushwalk, folks, and terribly sorry about cutting away from us like that. Isn't it amazing that we can be on a walk in the middle of the Kruger National Park where we are at the moment at Djuma Private Game Reserve, and you can be joining us? But things aren't always perfect, and with the equipment that we've got, we sometimes lose you. And thank you very much for your patience though. So while we were walking through here, we're tracking a male leopard this morning, just for those of you who have just joined us. And we've moved into the bush a bit deeper from where you just lost us. And now we're just going to take some time to stop and listen to the bush around us. I have heard a squirrel calling just off to my right hand side. We're going to give some time to that squirrel. They sometimes call for nothing more than their shadows. So we're going to see if it picks up in intensity. And while we're doing that, I'm going to try really hard to show you the home of a jumping spider. Now, jumping spiders, or the salticids, are perfect fly hunters. And this is the home of one. And if you look very carefully inside there, you'll actually see him or her living inside there. We're going to try and get it close for you. It is difficult, but we're going to see if we can get it for you. And you'll have a look at the little eyes. You'll notice that the eyes jump out at you as soon as it's inside. It's a little jumping spider that's inside there, the home. Now, he or she has made their house by pulling these grass together and then spinning it up with some silk, and she'll live inside there, and from this home will be hunting flies. So I hope you got to see that. It is a difficult thing to get, but in any case, we're going to carry on. We're going to go towards where we heard that squirrel calling, and we're going to see what else is there. A lot of sign of, we've got a lot of elephant sign, as you can see over there. It's fairly fresh. Elephant have been frequenting this area. It's not from today or yesterday, but I'm seeing variety of different ages of dung around. It's a good thing to keep your eye open here in an area like this for elephant. You don't want to bump into an elephant herd on foot. They're one of the more dangerous things to get. I'll show you what we're standing by here just to listen some more. This is where that squirrel was calling from. And while we're doing that, I just want to show you where these elephants have been digging out the roots of this tree. It's a combretum, and they enjoy eating combretum roots. Now, as we move into the dry season, elephants will go from eating mainly grass, looking at 70% or so of their diet made up of grass in the summertime, to about 70%, 80% of their diet made up of grass in wintertime. And this elephant has dug out a root and then walked off into the shade to eat it. And as you can see, not the entire root is eaten, just the root bark is eaten. That's where most of the nutrients of the root is kept. I've only really seen elephant utilize entire roots when the root itself has got a lot of water in it. This one obviously doesn't, but it does hold some nutritional value, and the elephant would have put it into its mouth and then using its molars in a rolling action would have stripped off all the bark of the root. And as you can see, gave it a good chew as well, just to loosen up those last few. But very effective. There's not a little bit of root left on this bark left on this entire root. Incredible. Let's carry on. So following our logic from a bit earlier, we want to try and head from Termite Mound to Termite Mound. We've just passed one where the squirrel was making a call. I can see another termite mound in the distance. That one's a bit small though. We're going to carry on in this direction. Basically just following the vector of where these tracks were last leading us. There's a nice big tree in the distance. Looks like something that a leopard might go and sit under. All the time just scanning the bush around us, making sure that we're looking far, middle and near. So, Ellen, we have a question from you in Arkansas. Firstly, welcome, and I'm glad that I can help you answer it. The question is, how is it different to us walking on foot with a leopard to a vehicle? It's quite a complex answer, that. But basically, in a nutshell, the comfort zones of animals are much more increased with people on foot. Man on foot has been in constant competition for animals with food and with space since, the last 200,000 years or so. And animals see us as a threat. In a vehicle, for the last 60 years or so, man has done nothing except for just watch these animals, taking some photos with a camera. And so animals' comfort zones with the vehicle shrink. They're a lot more tolerant of vehicles. We haven't been in, it's thousands of generations of persecution by man, and has led animals to have a natural mistrust. One of the Earth's most successful predators, and because of that, we have a reputation for being quite nasty. However, in a reserve like this, where we don't do any hunting, where there's no hunting and there hasn't been any hunting of animals for a long time, I have seen that the comfort zones of animals have started to shrink, and we can start experiencing animals on foot. It's not uncommon, just like this morning, for us to view a leopard on foot and then follow it a little bit down the road with the animal virtually relaxed and carrying on with its day. That 20, 25 years ago was unheard of. You just saw flashes of color through the bush, and that was it, unless you were, of course, cornering a leopard or you got it stuck in a tight place, in which case it can get quite dangerous. But the short answer is, as long as you maintain that respect of an animal's space there's not much difference to an animal on foot or an animal in the vehicle. You can just get a lot closer in the vehicle. Animals trust vehicles a lot more than they trust people on foot. But what I did want to show you here is I found, as I was walking past this log, an egg case. So I found it in the broken down piece of the stump, and from the shape I can only say that it's a monitor lizard, a very big type of lizard. For those of you around the world familiar with the Komodo dragons, it looks like a mini Komodo dragon. This is probably from the white-throated or bushveld monitor, and what they've gone and done is buried the eggs under the stump, or in a hole in the stump, and this stump is full of termites, and termites generate heat, and heat is actually what incubates these eggs. So what's happened is the monitor lizard has buried the eggs inside the stump, which is full of termites. The termites themselves incubate the eggs unknowingly, because just by their day-to-day business everything is warm, and the eggs then take a year to incubate and hatch, and then the babies dig themselves out. And we got all of that from this little egg case here. Quite interesting as we've been walking along. Let's carry on going. Catherine in Texas has just asked a nice question that I'm sure you're all wondering about. Firstly, I'd just like to say hello, Catherine. And the question is, do we ever come across poisonous snakes while we're walking in the bush? And the answer is yes, absolutely. You bump into poisonous snakes, not all the time. It's more common in summertime than in wintertime. Generally though, Catherine, it's not something that I really concern myself over. You give snakes space, they'll give you space. I've never been hunted by a snake or stalked by a snake. And generally they give you a warning. The African snakes will either hiss at you or make a noise. Some of them can even rasp their scales together. They generally let you know that they're there. You give them some space and you have a look at them, they carry on with their day and you carry on with yours. So not too much of a problem out here. That being said, snakes are responsible for the most deaths in Africa, from large animals. And I'm not talking about malaria or sickness like, any of the waterborne sicknesses, but snakes definitely do kill a lot of people. But not something that I've concerned myself over. David in Chicago. Hi David, hope you're well. David in Chicago has asked if there's any edible fruits on the trees where we are. At this time of the year, David, the answer to that is no. There's no edible fruits this time of the year. Most of the edible fruits we start seeing most of the edible fruits from about September all the way through to about February, March. After that, everything basically goes into hibernation, into sleep, and we don't get any more edible fruits. But the fruits that are here, that are edible, are generally quite sweet. Marula is quite a sweet. Sour plum is now the exception I'm thinking about. But generally they're quite sweet. Good tasting fruit. Nothing bigger than about that. That's about the biggest fruit that you get. There are monkey oranges that are a little bit bigger, but I still can't identify properly which are the best tasting monkey oranges. To me they all taste bitter and I don't enjoy them. Thanks for that question, David. Another termite around there, but we've missed that one. just busy scanning for more termite mounds. We're still walking in generally the same direction that we saw the last tracks. I'm walking on a bit of a game path, but there's no tracks on this game path that I've seen. So now I'm just heading big trees, big termite mounds in the direction that we last saw the tracks of that male leopard, and keeping my ears open for anything giving alarm calls, from squirrels through to birds, through to mammals like kudu. And there's a big termite mound. Let's go and see that one. It's a giant of a termite mound. And for those of you who were watching yesterday afternoon, you would have seen Mvula actually walking from termite mound to termite mound. Let's go and see what we can see. Got a big hole in this termite mound. I'm just going to say to Scott we're not going to stand directly in its way, but I will show you the hole. That's an excavation of some sort. Doesn't look like it's in use. I can't see any fresh tracks going in there. So what makes holes like this in the side of termite mounds? Aardvark or ant bear is generally what makes holes like this. They dig into termite mounds to eat the termites, and then the holes that they dig, foraging holes they dig, are then further excavated by warthog and by hyena and by a whole myriad of other animals. So they definitely are the builders of the home builders of the animal world. Everything else uses their holes and then excavates it further, renovates it at least. This one doesn't have anything in, but definitely is the type of place that a big male leopard in this area would like to come and visit. I've even watched some leopards lying on top of termite mounds the entire day waiting for warthog to come out. So our game plan is still solid. And go right ahead. Just heard on the radio that Pete has got something special for you that he's been looking for a while. So we're going to go back to Pete, and Scott and I are going to carry on with the walk, and we'll catch up in a little bit. Enjoy it.
Guys, welcome back this side. It's been quite a morning. Also just trying to find who's where doing what. We've been very lucky that a lot of it happened just in this area. There's another game drive vehicle, as you can see. That's Andrew from Cheetah Plains. And remember right in the beginning this morning, Stefan and Scott and Brent and Stefan that you were just on the walk with, they tracked and found a leopard, and we were very excited. Then we lost the leopard. They went into thick stuff. We later learned that it's because there were wild dogs around and the leopard was found again. So we're going to show you. We must just find a way in ourselves for now. I think this could work. They did find both, but Shadow has left subsequently. The mother has moved on, so we've just got the cub here, that young male that's going to get his Wild Earth name on Sunday during the fireside chat on Mother's Day. So great to see him. I think with a little bit of luck we're going to have a beautiful view of him if he stays where he is. Oh wow, young leopard, stunning. Look at that. It's about as good as it gets. See the game drive vehicle in the back as well, also loving this. Beautiful. think we're going to be spoilt. We're going to be left alone here. Now, his mother caught up with him this morning. They moved the area or changed location from where they were earlier. She's probably going to leave him this area again. There's a little drainage line not too far. But he's also not a baby anymore. He's now about 7 months old, so he'll be moving around a bit and maybe practicing the sort of the early development of his hunting skills and what young animals are best at, just being curious and maybe having a bit of fun. But at the same time, he knows that he must stick around this area because Mum will find him again and she will take him to the food. Now, yesterday morning we found them very lucky on the remains of an impala kill. And I don't think she's made a kill during the night, otherwise she would have taken him there. So it means she's gone off hunting again. And we will try and follow this story again. Maybe the hunt happens today. It's nice and overcast. She could hunt into the day as well. Maybe tonight. But that's all in the future. For now, we are just very spoiled, sitting in the middle of the bush on a lovely cool morning here in South Africa with one of the most mystical and beautiful animals that you will ever see on an African safari. The leopard. And not just a leopard, a cub at that. How special is that? I wonder what he's thinking about. You get the sense that he's a little bit lost in thought at the moment. Hello, Bob. You're just asking if Shadow's been, or if this cub has been waiting here while Shadow was away early on. Let me just sort of put that into context again. When we found them this morning, when Stefan and them found Shadow to start with, she was on her own, and then luckily, because we'd followed her yesterday and in the morning I'd stayed with her until they settled down. We knew where the cub was, so we went straight there, and we were very lucky that we caught them there as they met up. So she collected the cub again to move area, possibly. At the time I thought maybe to take him to food, but we've now learned that that wasn't the case. And we were following them along, and then again we learned a little bit later, once we found the wild dogs, we realized that the wild dogs actually influenced them to turn their sort of direction they were heading in. Then they were found again, still together. So from this morning, sort of 6:30 or so, when they met up, they were together until just recently, maybe 15 minutes ago. They've changed the area a little bit, not that far. We're 500-600 yards from where they, maybe a bit further than that, 800-900 yards from where they were early morning. And then she's left him here again, and she's now moved on again. Now, one of the game drives followed her for a bit, and then they couldn't keep up, but she has left. So basically she's leaving him here so that she can go hunt or do what she needs to do, and then she will fetch him again, most likely this afternoon or early evening if she's successful. Possibly during the day, you never know. I mean, opportunity could be, fortune can smile on her, and she maybe gets a hunt this morning even. Hello Jennifer. I like the rhythm and the rhyme of where you're from. Jennifer is from St. Louis, Missouri. Very valid question, one showing both understanding and concern as well for these animals. Just wondering, is this leopard big enough or smart enough or experienced enough now to know what to do if other predators came along? That wild dog pack that we saw this morning, that were literally 40 or 50 yards from where the leopards took their turn into the bush, they are still close by. They could be running through here any minute. The hyena clan, as we know, not far away from here. But this cub by now should be pretty safe. 7 months old. He's big enough now, smart enough now, strong enough, quick enough, balanced enough to be able to avoid predators like that. Now he's not right next to a big tree where we are now, but even just the sort of medium-sized trees around us here, he would be able to climb and scamper up that if need be. His first prize, obviously, being so well camouflaged, would be to try and avoid being detected by other predators. But should that happen, he'd be up in a tree in a flash. So again, you never know what could happen, but he's you know, every day that he's getting bigger now, he's getting safer and safer from other predators, both because he's getting more experienced, so he knows how to handle himself better, but also because he's just getting quicker and faster and stronger and all of those things. I think this guy's got a very good chance of being Shadow's first successfully reared cub into adulthood. Sort of general sort of mixed bushveld setting here we've got. I was just looking next to me, Brian, I don't know if you could see this. I might have to pick the leaf, but if you can see it, I'd prefer not to move it. Can you see that, or is that just over the edge? Oh, great, we can see it. Look there on the leaf. This is from a large fruited bush willow, one of the combretums. And apart from the hole in it, which I'm sure you noticed, but look at the water on there. This is still from the, you could almost go as far as calling it heavy dew, but it was light rain early this morning around 4 o'clock our time. It just a soft drizzle, actually it was a bit later, maybe closer to 4:30, something like that. Just enough to have sort of moistened the dust again, make the smells nice and fresh, and lots of little bits of water around like this. Nothing enough for animals to drink from, but certainly for little insects and birds and things like that. All life appreciates water. That we know. Well, it's just while we're sitting with a lazy leopard, worst things to do. But just thinking forward to this weekend. We're really looking forward to this weekend. We've got 2 exciting drives coming up, Friday and Saturday. Saturday and Sunday. Today would be Friday already. But Saturday and Sunday, we've got a vehicle going past the back here if you hear some noise. Saturday and Sunday we've got the drives. They'll be slightly different, the leopard having a look as well. Slightly different from the normal ones in that they will be 2.5 hours long, the game drive, and half an hour fireside chat right at the end of it, from 5:30 to 6. Now I'm looking forward to that immensely. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a busy fireside chat with lots of things happening, great things for you to see as well. Do make sure you don't miss it. It's going to be stunning. HT and myself and Stefan looking forward to it. Everyone actually looking forward to it. So don't miss it. We're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to look at a few things. It's going to be fun. We're going to sort of give our thoughts on a certain few things, which will be interesting as well. there's going to be the reveal of this guy's name. We've had lots of options coming in. We don't know which one we're going to choose yet. You can still send ones in as well. On Sunday, we're going to give him his Wild Earth name. And you can take part in this as well. But because it's going to be so quick with so many things happening, we want to make sure that we pick a few of those questions beforehand. It's not going to be questions that are going to be answered. It's not going to be, what does an elephant weigh, and we're going to say, 10 pounds. It's more just a discussion, sort of a general talk around certain concepts or ideas. And we'd love to get your questions from that, or for that. Please, with the questions, when you send them in, hashtag Safari Live for a tweet. Maybe for this it's even better if you email it in. Mail it to questions@wildearth.tv. Please remember to add into the question your name, where you're from. Maybe even give us an idea if you've been coming on many game drives or maybe just a few. But the questions, you can really go into something sort of a bit more in depth. As I said, we're not looking for a question that's going to have a straightforward answer. We're not going to ask what is 5 plus 5 and we're going to say it's 10 and that's done. We're looking more at like a sort of a mathematical equation. What is the relative possibility of mass? That would be interesting math sum for that question, if you know what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is, feel free to ask questions that you would like to get an understanding or an explanation or a conversation from. One of the things that came up, and it's actually a question that came up amongst ourselves, so if someone hasn't asked it, maybe this is your opportunity to grab it and get your question on the fireside chat. But we were wondering, and it's a simple enough thing, but once we started talking about it, we actually realized there's a lot more to it. We were wondering, for instance, when Karula lost that cub. Now, Karula has been an extremely successful leopard at raising cubs. And she's got a percentage of raising cubs which is well high above the average success rate. And we were wondering the other day why she didn't make more of an effort, perhaps, to defend the cubs against the hyenas when they took that cub. And once we discussed it, we thought that could actually be one of the great questions. So if you haven't sent one in, you could maybe grab that one. And then also just general questions relating to the interspecies competition of the apex predators. Now let me break that sentence down a bit. The interspecies competition would be between different species, mainly or often hyenas in this case because they are in this area, but them with wild dogs, them with leopard, them with lion, and vice versa, leopard with lion, leopard with dogs, etc. We just had that question earlier from, when you asked what would happen if those predators came through here. So any questions around that, conceptual questions would be great. We are also going to talk about motherhood, wild parenting, Mother Nature, animals rearing their young, and maybe also the relationship of young towards their mothers on Sunday, because Sunday is Mother's Day after all, and I have said this. One thing we all have in common is we all have a mother, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So we can certainly relate to that. And many of you are mothers, many of you are grandmothers, maybe even a few great-grandmothers here. And the older you get, the wiser you get, the better you understand how these things are all connected. So any questions or thoughts or theories around wild parenting, the relationship of mother, parent even, and young and vice versa, please send those in as well. Guys, we are looking for multiple questions. We're not just going to have one question. We're looking for at least sort of 3 or 4 questions, and then depending on how long the discussion goes, we'll get to a few of them during the time we're going to be doing that. The other thing that I thought was a great one, and we saw the beginning of it, actually Brian and myself just earlier on the drive were talking about it again, and then the sort of the great part of it was with Hayden on drive, and that's the wild dogs. I think it was as I say, my days blur a bit into each other, but the second or third day or so earlier on, we had the great surprise in the morning where we found the hyenas chasing the wild dogs, and then later on the reverse of that, and beautiful visuals. And I know that's a question that might have popped up for a few people. In other words, what determines, or how does it work that You know, some animals are more dominant than other animals amongst your apex predators, amongst your sort of big five or big four of the predators in this case, in our area, which would be lion, leopard, the two big cats, wild dog, and hyena. And what determines who's dominant over who? You know, how does that work? Anyway, those are the type of questions. I mean, anything you can think of. That's why we're asking you. Is, you know, so often I've experienced personally that I gain new understandings and new insights into what I'm experiencing around me. That I suddenly get a new door opened or a new window opened into nature for my own understanding by getting great questions from you guys. And that's the beauty of conversation. That's the beauty, one of the beauties at least, of being human, is that we can conceptualize ideas, ask the question, make the comment, have a conversation, and at the end of it, all parties could have gained something in that conversation. And I'm looking forward to that experience around the fire with Hayden, Stefan, both great guys with great information, with great experience, even more importantly, and with great understanding of what we're doing here and how we fit into this bigger picture of what is spectacular wild nature around us. And the only thing missing in that one, as I said, I'm looking forward to talking to Hayden and Stefan, is we're looking for great questions from you guys, because you're going to be part of that conversation. In fact, you're going to determine some of that conversation by sending us questions. So please help us. We are still looking for more, and it's going to be great. So don't miss it. Saturday, 5:30 our time. That would be 11:30 Eastern time or 8:30 Western time. For the last half an hour of the drive, it's going to be a very fun, very enjoyable fireside chat. I'm excited. Don't miss it. It will also be put out there for you. We'll make sure that you know when it is and what it is. So yeah, I think I made my point there. This leopard is nice and relaxed. He's got the day to wait for mum. No rush. Well, what a way to end the drive. A couple of minutes left, and this leopard seems to be very happy, very comfortable. I mean, that's the sort of equivalent of a lazy boy, I guess, for a leopard. Looks a bit like you earlier up in the tree. Susan. Hello, Susan. Hoe gaan dit? Hoop het gaan goed. Susan's from Holland, so she would have understood some of what I just said. Afrikaans is not too different from Dutch. Susan's just wondering about the ears of the leopard. Are the spots on the ears unique to them as well? And I would go as far as to say that every spot on every leopard would be unique to that leopard. Because, I mean, for one spot to be in context, you'd have to compare it to another spot next to it. And there's not going to be one leopard in the world that has exactly the same spots as another leopard. You know, it's just too unlikely. It's a bit like fingerprints. You know, it's you know, I used to always think that, you know, you talk about this unique patterns on leopard, or the zebra, for instance. We saw some zebra tracks this morning. That zebras all have unique stripes. Now, we're about 7 billion people and counting, and we've got unique fingerprints. What's he seeing? Maybe just stretching. Oh, okay, we're going to get a little bit of a walking around. Where's he going now? Find a new spot. Maybe he's going to go closer to a bigger tree. Find a better place to hide. Fantastic. For the last little bit of the drive, we're going to see him active. Just right there next to us. How brilliant is that? Where are you going? He's not stalking, but he does look a little bit curious. I think he's just heading over somewhere better to wait for the rest of the day. While he's busy going into the bush there, we are going to stay here a few minutes longer after we say goodbye, just to see where he ends up, so that we can try and find him again this afternoon. HT would love to see this guy as well. But for now, from myself, Peter Pretorius, thank you so much for joining us. It was a lovely morning, lots of excitement. Brian,
thanks,
great on camera, guys. Everyone that's part of this team, it's awesome. See you this afternoon.